I have a trio of stories here from BuyingTheComics.com. Let me get right into it. DC's Absolute Batman introduces race-swapped version of future Batgirl Barbara Gordon. The Absolute stuff is basically DC's version of the Ultimate line. I'm not a big fan of it myself. I'll get more into that here in a second. In the latest case of redhead race swapping, DC's Absolute Batman #1 has revealed that the Absolute Universe incarnation of original Batgirl Barbara Gordon has a much darker complexion than her original Earth Zero counterpart. That's what she looks like. Is what she's supposed to look like. We'll get to here in a second. Scott Snyder penned, which real quick. Well, I'll go ahead and show just a few of the panels. The art. Okay, this is a Waylon Jones becomes Killer Croc, but he's not yet mutated. That's the thing they do with these. In this case, Absolute, but in Marvel's case, Ultimate line is they change a lot of the characters up to kind of give the illusion. Oh, this is so different. It's so innovative. It's so great. Alfred Pennyworth here still serving as a special military operative rather than the Wayne's butler. That's him. Hold a shotgun to Batman's head. Batman, knocks him out basically and takes it, or knocks him down and takes it. However you want to look at it, whatever. Of course, Bruce Wayne himself, he's also built like an absolute brick shithouse. That's true. I mean, just look at the size of this guy. They draw him way bigger. That's him right there. But anyway, and it goes on and blah blah blah. Outside of Bruce's physique, Gotham's most notable residents share a stark physical resemblance to their namesakes. That is, except for the aforementioned girl who would be Batgirl. Although there is, that's Catwoman right there with the little ears, obviously. As established, with her half Latin, half Irish ethnicity, as established in 2000's Catwoman Volume 2, number 81, rather than a Julie Newmar style race swap. I'd say that's possible, but, basically there's, apparently he's friends with all these people and stuff. Anyway, and it goes on. The party animal gangs run on Gotham City Hall. They hit a bunch of people. She reaches, Commissioner Gordon. Gordon basically gets hit. I'll just show you real quick. He gets shot. That's Gordon right there. Dead. Barbara, just get everyone out of here now. Well, so that's Barbara Gordon. That does not look like the redhead shown up above. But anyway, it goes on, blah, blah, blah. Marks a stark deviation to the white redhead. But here's the thing. Right at the end, this bit of modern audience updating the site, Absolute Batman #1 is a solid first outing for DC's Absolute Universe. Now, the hell with that. It's not solid. Anytime you've got like this bullshit race swapping, it's built on a shaky foundation. Therefore, it cannot be solid. This is how we end up getting this kind of race swapping horse shit. It's because people acquiesce to it and they're, it's solid other than this one thing. No, the problem is race swapping is wrong. It's always been wrong. It is complete garbage, bullshit nonsense. Because the thing is, race swapping's always only been done one way. In the past, they used to only take white people and put them into the roles of people of color. You had John Wayne playing Genghis Khan and stuff like that. I probably shouldn't even start getting into examples, but there's plenty of them out there, and they were wrong. But nowadays, they only take people of color and put them into white people's roles. That's it. It never goes the other way. That's why race swapping is so wrong. It's wrong when you take a white person into a person of put them into a person of color's role. It's wrong when you take a person of color and put them into a white person's role. It's just wrong. It's not solid. There's nothing solid about it. Don't give me this. It's solid. It's a solid first outing. That's horseshit. It's not solid. It's crap. And we need to call it out for what it is. It's garbage, pandering, bullshit, nonsense. Anyway, moving on to the next story. Disney and Lucasfilm provide first official look at Star Wars' new transgender clone trooper. Like, huh? Roughly 2 years after the character was introduced to a galaxy far, far away, the newly released Star Wars Encyclopedia has provided audiences with their first official look at the franchise's first ever transgender clone trooper. Is this a huge deal? I suppose not. I mean, maybe you're just bound and determined to just say, well, it ain't a big deal, But it's also the kind of thing though that this is how we end up with this kind of nonsense. If you're talking like in this, if they can clone people, why the hell would they make someone Or why the hell couldn't they make someone the opposite gender? That's the stupid thing I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna spend much time on this story because to be quite honest, it ain't worth it. When it goes on, blah blah blah. Her name is Sister because her brothers wanted to make sure everyone knew that she belonged. Blah blah blah. Like it's an encyclopedia written by some person, so Disney person essentially. So whatever. Those colors, I'm not a fan of that because partly because they're muted and stuff. It's like whatever happened to the bright colors that they would have for comic books or video games or whatever. It's like I'm not saying that it's got to look like an anime or a painting or not a painting, but I mean or like a cel shaded video game or cartoon or whatever. But I mean, Jesus, it looks too muted. Like that pink isn't bright enough. The blue definitely isn't bright enough. Maybe that's what they're looking for. I'm not really sure. But anyway, however, while this art of Sister simply existed as a personal piece of fan art, it was officially adopted as her official appearance in the newly released Star Wars: The Secrets of the Clone Troopers, an illustrated encyclopedia intended for kids, written from the perspective of Bad Batch's Captain Rex. Blah blah blah, and it goes on. I'm not like there it is. But again, not a huge deal because it's like I ain't buying that damn encyclopedia. I wouldn't buy it anyway, even if it wasn't full of this kind of stuff. But whatever. Anyway, third story is rumor David Zaslav suggested James Gunn make Robert Pattinson the main DCU Batman. Ugh, sounds terrible. Batman's not yet been selected for the Brave and the Bold, which begging the question, what's the holdup? The answer could be timing or delays brought on by the recent writer and actor strikes. But there may be more going on behind the scenes. It's revealed at the founding or rebranding of DC Studios, blah, blah, blah. He reports to David Zaslav. According to insider Jeff Snyder in his newsletter, Zaslav is recommending, if not demanding, that Gunn incorporate Robert Pattinson into the DCU as its official Dark Knight Snyder. Or as an official Dark Knight. Snyder asks, where does Robert Pattinson's Batman factor into this? If he doesn't, then why the hell not? Because he's a shitty Batman. At least in my opinion. I mean, everyone else entitled to their own opinion. A lot of people try to hold up Christian Bale as like the best Batman. Fuck that. I think Christian Bale did a pretty shitty Batman, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. I know there's plenty of people out there who would disagree with that. Like I said, there's plenty of people who think that Christian Bale's Batman is the best Batman. I think that's nonsense. I think Michael Keaton did a better job. I think Ben Affleck did a better job as Batman. Now we can argue about whether Batman was too violent or too bloodthirsty or whatever under Ben Affleck, but I thought he did a really good job both as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. Christian Bale's Batman had that stupid fucking voice. I just can't. If nothing, that was something that plagued that entire trilogy of movies. Is the Batman voice was so absurd and ridiculous. It's like criminals would start laughing at Batman if he was talking like that to them. It was ridiculous. Then of course you had Bane, Tom Hardy, good actor, terrible voice, terrible choice to play Bane. Wasn't big enough. Wasn't and then you're like, okay, well, because I know it's always one of those things when you're dealing with a guy like a Bane or whatever, where you're like, okay, well, do we choose a big guy who probably can't act all that well, or do we choose a smaller guy, have him work out who can act, but he's not going to be as big? And a lot of times they go with the acting side of it. I get that. That's fine. But then he had to choose the stupidest fucking voice of all time to be his Bane. It's like the voice does not match. He had some really cool lines and stuff, but when it was said with that voice, again, it makes you almost want to bust up laughing. Because you're like, this is absurd. It's ridiculous. I thought Robert Pattinson's Batman was just too. And I know that this was kind of the point, but he's too emo, I'm a little wimp, and all this stuff. And he's just gonna go along with Catwoman. Catwoman's gonna talk about stealing, and she's gonna talk about all this other stuff, and Batman's just gonna kind of, I guess. It just reminds me of like, the character uh, Edward, I think it is, in the Twilight movies, something like that, where he's just like some emo guy staring off into the distance. Yeah, okay, some shit like that. I don't know. Anyway, and it goes on. It talks about It's a fair question. Batman's still the most successful DC release of the last 2 years. That's not exactly a long, uh, like a sample size. 2 years, wow, amazing. I mean, what kind of shit's come out since then? The Blue Beetle movie, the Flash movie, wow, great competition. The Penguin's ratings prove the ongoing crime saga is popular and viable. I haven't watched it, don't really want to watch it because it just seems boring, pointless. I mean, what the hell do I want to watch that? But Colin Farrell does a great job, sure, but anyway, Matt Reeves more than earns his keep. Not to mention his seat at the table, the accident of two of his shows aside, blah blah blah. Then they talk about the original plan was for Gunn and Reeves, or well, the rumored plan was for Gunn and Reeves. We're going to take over with a big hand from J.J. Abrams. Obviously, one of those pieces didn't fit the puzzle and was left out, despite whatever progress exists for a Superman movie that J.J. Abrams is producing with Ta-Nehisi Coates. Real quick, I wish people would quit bringing that up because there is not a chance in hell that Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman movie gets made. No shot in fucking hell. One of the rumors was it was going to be like a $300 million budget. That's big enough reason alone. Secondly, Ta-Nehisi Coates is a terrible writer. The guy is god awful. He's like he smells his own farts, and the people who like him, they like sniffing his farts because his he uses an overly flowery language, bullshit. Like you could tell he's just using a thesaurus and stuff because it's like he could be talking about the simplest, most mundane thing, and he's trying to use the most flowery language to make it seem more important than it really is. He's a terrible writer. There's no way in hell anybody wants to see a movie that he would make because purportedly, again, depends on the rumors, but he would want to make it with a black Superman. But then some people say, well, no, it's not that. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to be involved in any way, shape, or form with anything this guy has to do. It's ridiculous. I wish people would quit talking about it because there are some executives in Hollywood who apparently think, well, people are talking about it. Even if it's a bad thing, we should still do it because so much garbage gets made in Hollywood these days, and there's no reason for it. I mean, hell, Sony brought re-released the Morbius movie back into theaters because of the Morbentine meme. Made them think that we're gonna make a bunch of money. It's like apparently there's a bunch of idiots out there making these decisions. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, but then it says whether it happens or not, Gunn's in charge of the Man of Steel now, and Zaslav wants to ditch the multiverse principle, which is a good idea because multiverse stuff sucks. Latter stated that there won't be multiple variants of Batman, safe to assume that will go for all the heroes before long. This could entail Pattinson being the first hero of the DCU, or well, he wouldn't be the first hero of the DCU. It'd be Superman, but whatever. I guess, although technically, I guess you could technically say, but also at the same time, the Peacemaker. There's talk that the Blue Beetle will be in there, the Suicide Squad. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? I don't. I have faith in James Gunn to make the Superman movie like on time and on budget, maybe even under budget a little, not with a shit ton of reshoots or whatever. I don't have faith in him in whatsoever in any way to make a Superman movie, a good Superman movie. Because Superman does not crank jokes. He don't sit there and horse shit around. That's not Superman. You want to make a Flash movie with the jokesters and stuff. Hey, that's fine. I can get down with that. May not be the greatest. I'm not. It's hard to say. I didn't think his Suicide Squad movie was very funny. I didn't think Peacemaker was very funny. Eh. But the Guardians movies, to varying degrees, were kind of funny. There were some funny parts in them. And again, in my opinion, other people might disagree, but I didn't think that they were very hilarious. There was a couple funny parts here and there, but you also had some funny actors working on it. I don't know much about this David Cornsweet guy. I know they got Nathan Fillion, the guy Gardner, for a second or two, or however long he's going to be in there. He'll probably make a few jokes and blah, 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 whatever. But it's just, I don't know. It's like, to me, Robert Pattinson's Batman, does he fit? I guess, because you got a young Superman too, so maybe they'll go with that. Although Robert Pattinson isn't like nearly the same age as that Cornsweet guy, but maybe they could try to play it off that way. I'm not really sure. Or rookie style Superman and a slightly experienced but still inexperienced Batman. I don't. Maybe I'm not interested in that though myself, but I'm open to be proven wrong. Anyway, I've made this video way longer than I was planning on it because these stories, that's why I didn't make individual videos about them because they're just not a big enough news story to really make individual stories or videos about. But I actually made this way longer than I was planning on it. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'll link all this stuff in the description box. You can read these articles for yourself. Thank you very much for watching, and